Well, South Carolina, we still have near record high temperatures that are possible, especially as we continue throughout the rest of this week. Dry conditions staying along, that will add on to the fire weather concerns, and just our warm to well above normal temperatures continue to dominate as we go throughout the rest of this week, potentially even going into next week. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go ahead and talk about the weather for your Tuesday evening going into your future. Starting off, as always, we talk about what's currently going on. Right now, nothing's going on right now. We have nice dry conditions going on throughout the entire state of South Carolina. But if we scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we do in fact have some rainfall going on, maybe some snowfall. But in terms of the rainfall, we have some rainfall going on from New York into Maryland and even some rainfall in Maine. Look up here, though, inside of the Midwest. You're seeing severe thunderstorms with even some tornado warnings. You see tornado warnings in Illinois right now, near Rockford, Illinois. You see some storms going through Michigan. You have some severe thunderstorms going on throughout Oklahoma and the area that we talk about outside of South Carolina, that being Duncan. Duncan's right to the east of it, so Duncan's going to be under a severe thunderstorm warning pretty soon, and it has gusts of up to 70 miles per hour. So we'll talk about Duncan in just a little bit. Rainfall continues down in Texas for again more severe thunderstorm warnings down there, and then even some rainfall, not severe wise or anything like that going on, but rainfall, snowfall going on over there in the west, going on into Idaho and Montana. If you see what's going on for our cloud cover, we do have some cloud cover going on right now. It mainly seems like it's up there inside of the PD areas, but everybody else, we're staying mostly inside of the clear in terms of cloud cover. Cloud cover for our future. We're going to push this forward all the way into tonight, going into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning comes along, and you do see some cloud cover here and there, but it's definitely not terrible. Even as you go into tomorrow afternoon, cloud cover really does start to build up a little bit more. And then as we get into around 9 p.m., 10 p.m., going all the way into 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, we have cloud cover that now continues to move its way over into the east, and we may actually be completely covered with clouds by the time we get into Thursday morning. Now for our current temperatures, we have around 66 in Somerville, as well as 67 in Charleston, 68 Beaufort, and that seems to be the trend really throughout the Grand Strait area as well, from mainly the high 60s over here, 67 Conway, Murrells Inlet, Georgetown, 75 over here in Hartsfield, seeming like that's the max, and we're seeing 70s throughout the Midlands, throughout the PD areas as well, and up there in the upstate, 70s continue, 72 Greenville, Spartanburg, 73 Clemson, 71 Gaffney. Now for air quality, it looks like that we are mostly inside of the moderate category, which is not the worst, but it's definitely not good. So just make sure that you are aware, make sure that you are paying attention. If you're out tonight, nothing like unhealthy for sensitive groups or unhealthy just in general yet, but we're still just watching for it if you're out for a long period of time tonight. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around 60, going all the way from Greenville to Spartanburg to Rock Hill to Anderson, Lawrence, Columbia, 60s across the board. Even Florence and Georgetown. We start to get a bit into the high 50s from like Walterboro and Kingstree, Orangeburg, Greenwood. And then near the coastal areas, we're talking about maybe low to mid 60s, 63 in Charleston, 64 Hilton Head Island. Now, if we go on and look at our high temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about 90s. Yes, 90s, 90s, 90s starting. Now, if you remember this morning, we talked about how 90s could potentially be going on throughout the Midlands. I'm going to check in a little bit and see if we did hit 90 up there, but tomorrow I'm like 99.9% confident that somebody is going to reach 90 degrees tomorrow. So if it was not today that somebody did not reach 90, tomorrow we will definitely see our first 90 of the year. First 90s of the year. From the PD area over into the Midlands, maybe even a little bit into the low country. I mean, even if you're not in the 90s, you're still going to be pretty hot if you're in the inland areas. You're talking about 89, pretty much widespread throughout the upstate low country, 89. We're talking about 85 near Georgetown, 79 near the coastal areas, like Myrtle Beach, 81, Charleston. Rainfall is not expected at this time, so you don't need any rain gear with you. And then in terms of the crazy score, we are at a 7. We are at a 7. Why? Well, pretty simple. Calm conditions tonight. Cloud cover isn't too heavy. Light winds. overall, just a nice, tranquil night. SPC outlook for tonight, no thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow, or Thursday. Fire weather. Fire weather. If I'm going to be honest, I do think that as we continue out into the rest of the week, that the fire risk has definitely increased as we go into the next couple of days. This is Tuesday. This was today. Okay, we knew this. We talked about that going into this morning and last night. So we knew that this was here. But if we go and look into tomorrow, we're talking about another fire risk. This is for the upstate going into the northern PD areas as well. Okay, what about Thursday? Thursday comes along and it expands south even more. We're talking about a fire risk now for Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill, now the northern Midlands, not only just the northern PD areas, but now the northern Midlands. And then Friday, we're still not done. Friday, this risk kind of expands a little bit more down towards the south, but not too much, still kind of in that same zone. But our biggest day is Saturday. Saturday, we're talking about pretty much almost statewide, except for maybe some kind of like some intercoastal areas or like the low country, the Grand Strand areas, obviously coastal areas. But upstate, Midlands, PD areas, fire weather is definitely possible as we go into Saturday. So when I say fire weather conditions are definitely going to be a problem as we go throughout the next couple of days, I really do mean it. I mean, we're talking about days where we probably shouldn't, especially if you're up there in the upstate, you probably shouldn't burn anything for the week. I mean, we're going all the way from tomorrow through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, we're just talking about fire conditions. And honestly, I would not be surprised if, they say something about it more on a wider scale. So, I mean, just not like, oh, well, it's just like a little elevated risk. But the fact that it's just so large throughout the state, I do think that may cause some agencies to look at it and be like, okay, well, this is a statewide thing here. Probably need to make some sort of statement about it. But that's just my opinion. That's what I think. We'll see if they do or not. But things will still change. Things will still continue to develop. Excessive rainfall wise, right now, nothing for tonight, tomorrow, and just as you continue throughout the next 4 days or so, 5 days even, nothing going on. So let's go and look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go in and pay attention to that because that is very, very, very important to go in and pay attention to. Because if you don't pay attention to that, great chance that you could get lost easily. So here we go, starting off here at the 0, or the 18Z, I think this is. We're starting off here at 9 o'clock p.m. We go in and push this forward, and what do you see? Absolutely nothing. This is one of the reasons why we have this fire threat. No rainfall, and we are continuing to see no rainfall as we go throughout the next 29 hours. You see throughout the next 33 hours. Going all the way through Thursday, no rainfall. So this drought's going to continue. These fire weather conditions are going to continue. And especially as we get into Sunday, that's what I'm a bit concerned about. I'm looking at Sunday, because Sunday we are talking about a potential cold front trying to move through. If that cold front moves through, areas that don't get the rainfall, obviously that fire risk is going to jack up because of the winds that push through with the cold front. So they have not made anything for Sunday yet. But you saw what they did today. I mean, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday did not have a risk of fire weather yesterday. And now it does today. So we'll see what they do for Sunday. But make sure, again, like I said, if you're in the upstate, Midlands, you're aware. And don't burn anything if you don't have to for this week. And, if you're in the low country, the Grand Strand areas, the coastal areas, throughout this week, just make sure that if you do burn something, you are careful with it. Now, what about the long-term future? What about the long-term? Well, the short-term does look pretty good. Let's see what the long-term has to say. We go in and push this forward all the way through. And we're talking about, there goes that cold front that I was just talking about right here on Sunday. And as it goes on and pushes its way to the east, it brings some rainfall and some relief, but it's not a lot of rainfall. And so that's definitely not going to knock out any droughts. That's not going to do anything like that. But it will bring those gusty winds with it. So gusty winds, as we go on and push its way through, it will happen. That will happen. You go more and more into the weekend, going into next week, and again, we're still dry, even as you go through Thursday, Friday of next week. It's not until we get into around Sunday of the week after next week that we start talking about maybe another little rain chance, but again, it's nothing too bad. Even as you go through Tuesday, going into Wednesday, I mean, we have some rainfall here and there, but it's not anything bad at all. Nothing bad at all. And if we go on and look at and see the actual total precipitation as we go throughout the next 384 hours or so, one thing that you will see is that it's not a lot. One thing that you will see is it's definitely not a lot. For a 384-hour time span, 2.65, 2.98, there probably is a 3-inch somewhere in there. For this time of year, it's definitely not a lot. Definitely is not a lot. Like, you're looking over here, look in Alabama, they're getting 5 inches. Look over there in Mississippi, they're getting 7. Look over there, you can't really see it, but in Arkansas, they're getting 10 to 11 inches of rainfall. While we over here, some areas getting only a tenth of an inch. Some of us not even seeing a single drop. So, overall, problems are going to continue to keep on going on, and we're still going to, just continue to need this rainfall. Our drought's going to continue to grow. Our heat obviously is not slowing down. It's going to stay hot. Cold fronts coming in, not bringing too much rainfall, could potentially still continue bringing gusty winds. And we're still not going to have this drought out of the way anytime soon. I think that's the main thing that I want to say. And the main thing I want you to focus on is that this drought, it's not going to go away. Not going to go away. Now, as we go on and look at our next area, which is obviously temperatures, temperatures for the most part are going to continue to stay above average as we continue throughout the rest of the week. Nobody should really be too shocked by that, but there goes the cold front going into this weekend on Sunday. Cooler temperatures arrive as we go into next week, and then as we go all the way into the middle part of next week, we may be talking about a little bit of a change, maybe to more just normal temperatures, but definitely a warm-up is possibly in store as we get into the, not obviously this week, but next week, the end part of next week, Friday, 4/24/26. Now we get into Saturday, we get into Sunday, and we may be talking about, again, maybe some more cold air kind of mixing around here and there, but, we're 300 hours out. Things are going to change. Things are going to get more and more just overall clear as we go into, like, the next 300 hours or so. And if we go in and look at the actual temperatures themselves, as we go in and push this forward, it does seem like temperatures are going to continue to rise up all the way into the high 80s. We're talking about maybe some low 90s here or there. And even as we get into Thursday, 90s. We go into Friday. Again, widespread 90s as we get into Friday. Saturday, still some 90s, but there goes that cold front on Sunday. We may see some more 80s and 90s on Sunday for maybe like the Low Country or the Grand Strand areas, but it's not going to last too long as that cold front moves through, knocks our temperatures down significantly. And then now we're talking about low temperatures on Sunday night going into Monday morning, getting down to the 40s. And then high temperatures only getting to the 60s, maybe low 70s on Monday. And then we can kind of just continue to stay in the 70s and 80s here and there as we continue our way throughout the rest of April. But I definitely do see the potential maybe for some cooler days. Not 90s every single day or anything like that. But I am seeing a good amount of days of 90, especially as we get into like April the 30th, May the 1st, entering May. So we're going to see what happens here, and we're going to go on and check just as we continue throughout the next 300 to 400 hours and see what these temperatures are going to switch like, what they're going to act like, when it's going to be warmer, when it's going to be cooler, and just change it around. But that's pretty much all that I have to say here throughout the long-term future temperature-wise, precipitation-wise. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, we have a good amount of chats here for tonight, but for right now, As I go in and check, Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for asking. And then also, Maya Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully, everyone had a great day. Got to around 86 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Currently, it's 70. Well, at my house, it is around a good. Let me go in and check this out real quick. Around 68 right now. High temperature is around 84. Then my Aunt Lewis says today in Georgetown we had a nice sunny day. Then my Nana says hello, Jay, a sort of nice day. Day was good, glad to hear that. And then my Aunt Lewis says our high today was around 81 degrees, currently 66. Mr. Chris also says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free, helps the channel grow, absolutely. Right now we're at around, let's see, how many likes we have? We have around 6 likes and 7 people have tuned in so far. So mostly everybody's hit the like button so far, which is what we want to see. But obviously we want to see more even if YouTube is glitching out. So go on and hit the like button if you have not already. Continue our way down. We did have some wind in Georgetown. Mr. Chris says it was a very nice day in Moncks Corner, not a cloud, and a light breeze. Thank you so much for that weather update for both of y'all. Maya Lewis says, not looking forward to the hot weather coming upon us. Well, hey, I say all the time, you know, you may not want the hot temperatures, but hey, would you rather have the hot temperatures of 90 degrees, or would you rather have the cold temperature, the frigid temperatures of 20s and 30s? And I'm not talking about high 30s, I'm talking about low freezing 30s. Then continue our way down. Nice, I can definitely deal with the 7. Milo says, I know I've got to wait because I do have to burn some more leaves. Yeah, like I said, I honestly would say that if you are down there in obviously you're in Georgetown down there, so I mean you could technically burn, but you just have to be very careful with it because you don't have a fire weather threat until like later this week, into like the weekend. So like I said, you could burn something, but if you do, you have to be very careful. If you don't want to risk it, you don't have to. But obviously it's still going to be dry. Winds aren't going to be, you know, that bad. But if you want to wait, you know, it's all up to you. If you think that you would be fine, then, you know, you obviously can. There's no burn ban or anything like that, so, you know, nobody can really stop you. I've already done all my burning. Well, glad to hear that. That says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 Weather family. I trust all as well. Sorry for the tardiness. I lost track of time. It's a great day here in San Antonio. Plenty of sunshine. Well, thank you so much for that weather report, and no problem being tardy at all. No problem. And then Mr. Chris says, everyone, please remember to stay safe, hydrated, going to be hot soon. Absolutely. And that's all that I can see here. So let's go on now and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas outside of South Carolina? What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and talk about their areas for them. So we always start off with San Antonio first because usually that's, you know, that was the first location we ever started with ever. And that is with low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperature for tomorrow at around 84, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. No precipitation is expected until around tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, to where there is a slight chance of thunderstorms. So make sure that you are aware, make sure that you are paying attention for it if a thunderstorm does roll by, because obviously you're kind of in that area now to where they're having multiple days of back-to-back severe weather, and, you know, you're just kind of in there, not really in, like, the biggest threat, but you're there. And speaking of severe weather, if I go in and check right now, it does seem like that for tonight, let me go in and it's taking a second. You're not in one for tonight or for tomorrow, so it seems like that you are good, but you know, just make sure that you're aware. Make sure that you're paying attention. If you know, because any thunderstorm we take seriously, no matter if it's, you know, a day where you're not expecting any sort of severe thunderstorms or anything like that. Any day where I say thunderstorms are possible, you know, definitely do take it seriously. Definitely take it seriously. Then as we go into your future, because obviously no severe weather for you. For your future, it does look like that you are kind of just looking at more days inside the 80s and 90s potentially. Thursday, Friday, you're going to be at 89, but Saturday, going into the weekend, you're talking about highs going down to the 60s and 70s. So you will cool down. You will definitely cool down. But for right now, you're going to be up into the 80s and 90s. Now, what about for Raleigh, North Carolina? You have low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperature for tomorrow at 93, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 65. Honestly, there's a lot of things going on with each location, but for Raleigh, on the other hand, you're dry, but don't let that fool you, because obviously you also have a risk of fire weather, not only for tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday. So you have a multitude of days of fire weather risk that's coming towards you. So you have to make sure that you are prepared, make sure that you are not burning anything throughout the rest of the week. Just my opinion. So keep that in mind. And other than that, though, no excessive rainfall, no severe weather, nothing like that. For your future, you may actually see some rainfall on Sunday. Sunday, you have a 30% chance of rainfall, so you may see something there, and 90s will continue. Saturday, we're talking about the high temperature on Saturday being 95. So you're going to continue to kind of go up and up and up. Now for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 66, high temperature for tomorrow at 93, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. There's a chance of thunderstorms tonight, but for the most part, looking like that you are mostly in the clear because you do have a pop-up risk, because I don't think that this was here last night, of some severe weather. In fact, right now you do have like an area of rainfall to your west that's actually moving its way east, so you may actually see some rainfall as you go throughout the next hour or so. So make sure that you are aware of that and looking out. Now, in terms of any sort of threats, isolated damage and wind gusts are possible, 40 to 60 miles per hour. And that's the only thing that I see here. No fire weather for you. And then excessive rainfall wise, looks like that you're good as well. And then in terms of your future, I do believe that you will continue to just stay in the 90s as you go into tomorrow and Thursday. But Friday, Saturday will come along. You'll go into like the 80s a little bit. And then down to the 50s. We're talking about high temperatures into the 50s going into this weekend. Going into really I should say the late weekend going into like the early week next week. And then for the final area, the final location, that being Duncan, Oklahoma, which here it is right here. You're talking about low temperatures tonight at around 63, high temperature tomorrow at 81, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 59. Now we're talking about thunderstorms are expected tonight. We already talked about the fact how you have severe thunderstorm warning right to your west. Like, it's not too far from you at all. In fact, yep, there it is. Duncan was just put under a severe thunderstorm warning, so perfect timing. Perfect timing. And also to your west in Lawton, they have a flash flood warning over there for them as well. But you have a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Expect damage to roofs, siding, trees, and it's radar indicated right now. But for your protection, make sure that you're inside and not outside. That's severe thunderstorm is going to make it there pretty soon. So make sure that you are aware of that. And then in terms of just everything else, thunderstorms tonight, showers are likely tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. So you're still not out of the clear. You still are not out of the clear. For your severe weather and excessive rainfall, not for tonight, but for tomorrow you have another risk of severe weather. You have a 5% hatch risk of tornadoes, meaning that you have a 5% risk of tornadoes, and then you have a slight chance that it could potentially be tornadoes EF2 or higher. And then as you move into tomorrow, as well for your wind risk, you also have a 15% damaging wind risk, and then you have a 15% damaging hail risk for potentially 2 inches in diameter. And you're going to have to watch out for Friday. Friday for being another severe weather day. Now, what about for your excessive rainfall? For right now, it looks like that you are good. Maybe just for tonight, obviously, as that storm is moving by, you may have a little flash flood threat. I just told you earlier that Lawton, Oklahoma, right now is under a flash flood warning. as they are getting 1 to 2 inches of rain has already fallen, and around another half an inch to an inch and a half is possible in like the next 30 minutes. So that's what they're receiving right now. And then everything else for your future is going to continue to just stay active for you all the way through Friday. Thursday may be nice, but Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a bit more just calm. But then Monday night going into Tuesday, another risk of showers and storms. And that's all that I can see here. So let's go on now and end this off and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise. There's obviously that typhoon out there that's been going on over near the islands out there, and it continues to bring destructive winds, widespread heavy rainfall, and flooding and storm surge to the Marina Islands. Showers and severe thunderstorms are expected from the northeast to the mid-Mississippi Valley into the central and the southern plains through Thursday. A front will produce late-season snowfall over the Cascades and the northern Rockies and coastal rainfall over northwestern coast through Thursday. We also have, obviously, we already know the severe threat going on. Fire weather goes on over there from parts of Texas, like the panhandle of Texas, the panhandle of Oklahoma. Those areas that aren't receiving the severe weather threat that are too far west, they're receiving fire risk, and obviously we have our fire risk down here. North Carolina has special weather statements out, parts of Georgia do, parts of Virginia, but South Carolina does not have one. Also, there's an air quality alert out right now. Conway, Myrtle Beach, Loris, South Carolina. Seems like it is for, it says the high pressure over the southeast U.S. will continue to dominate the region, minimizing smoke dispersion from the ongoing wildfire in Marion County. Stable conditions and light wind will enhance the noticeability of smoke, especially in the overnight and the morning hours. Stagnant conditions are expected to pin smoke ground level until midday Wednesday. So, they recommend that individuals with respiratory health issues limit time spent outdoors and move all activities indoors to avoid the smoke or fine particulates. So that's for Horry County in Conway, Myrtle Beach. That's for Loris. That's for, I believe, over there near North Myrtle Beach, and then some other areas as well that are included in Horry County. So that's all that we see. That's all that I can see here, though, for the entire U.S. And let's go on now and end this off with top fans of the night for tonight. Seems like that honestly seems like everybody could have potentially got it tonight, as everybody was fighting for it. But let me check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Mr. Chris did win it for tonight. Mylua got number 2, and then Thad got number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m., being a subscriber, and being here early. Because if you do all that, guarantee you should get one of those top spots. So let's go ahead and give them a round of applause for making it to the top fans of the night for tonight. And that's all that I have to really say for tonight. So make sure that if you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Hit the subscribe button. We're at 726, trying to get to 800. And hit the share button. Share with your friends, family members, acquaintances, people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free. And obviously, you can share as many times as you want. Not a single penny will be drawn from your account. And that's all I have to say. So I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Wednesday morning forecast update. And then I'll also be back tomorrow evening for your Wednesday evening forecast update. Let's just get through tomorrow, and we'll be halfway through the work week. Make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave.